Hello and welcome to Shared Screen's Sonic the Hedgehog 2 movie spoiler cast. This is one of the nerdiest things that we could do is like do a spoiler cast or review over a video game movie, and I am all about it.
For
Joining me
kids
as
specifically.
exactly, this is and it is a kids movie. We'll get into that.
Yeah.
But joining me as part of Shared Screens, we've got Alec Bobco. How you doing, Alec?
Hello. Doing good today. Played a lot of Lego Star Wars, so got a little tired,
okay.
but doing good, doing good.
Speaking of Lego Star Wars, if you're watching this the day that it comes out, our spoiler cast for that game will be coming out tomorrow, correct?
Correct.
Okay, got it.
First video game
Perfect.
review,
Nails
or
it.
I guess second official, but it'll be first scored video game review.
Ooh. So tune in for that. Don't want to miss that. Also joining me as part of Shared Screens, I almost said part of Waypoint. We've got Jim Tasty, we got Bret. How you doing?
Good, man. I'm excited to talk about this movie.
Yeah, you and me both. Our favorite Blue Hedgehog and Tails, who I don't know if anyone else has like a strong opinion on Tails. Tails is fucking great in this movie. But moving on. We got Jordan Deeb as part of Shared Screens as well. How we doing, Jordan?
What's up? I'm doing pretty good. This movie is a fever dream in the best way.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think both 1 and 2, because I was like, I was really high on the first one. Like, I think it just accomplished what it needed to do. I don't think it's a great, like, oh my god movie. I just think this is the best, like, that it could have been.
So it's
And I
interesting
think-
you say that.
And I think 2 is like the exact same thing. So it's like another good 7.
Yeah. So I was really high during the first one.
Hmm.
Like I went to see that movie. I'm like, this is a meme. I'm just here to have fun.
Mhm.
Okay.
But I'm currently not doing that stuff right now. So I had to watch this one sober yesterday.
You poor
But
thing.
it's still just it's still just so absurd. And like, here's the thing. I don't know how much I'm going to be able to contribute to this spoiler cast. I don't know shit about Sonic. Like, I know the basics. I know he goes fast. I know
He go
his
fast.
friends. I really don't know that much Sonic lore. I saw the first one because it was a meme, and I was like, I can't stop. Like, I got to keep the thing going.
Mhm.
I know that because I've seen jokes on the internet about the Chaos Emeralds. I know those are a thing. Other than that, I could not tell you what references they had in this movie.
Totally. As someone who is a Sonic fan, the Master Emerald, I was like, is that a thing? Like, I couldn't remember if that was
Oh,
a
yeah.
thing or not. But
Adventure 2.
It's just been a while, my guy. It's been a
Mhm.
long time. And my name is Austin J. Ernst. I will be hosting this panel. Hello, hi. So blanket statements. What do we think about the movie? Because me coming out of the theater, I was like, it was good. I can't believe they did it again. Like, I'm genuinely I'm sad that Jim Carrey might be done. Like, I think he just nails that role. Love or hate Jim Carrey, him acting. I think this was the perfect role for him. I think the first one, this is just my opinion, is funnier, but the second one brings more hype. And I think they're both 7s for different reasons, if that makes sense. What do we think?
Yeah, I actually, my friend and I, we watched the first one the Sunday before it released, and that was about what I remember the first one being. Like, it was good. I didn't absolutely love it, but I enjoyed it for what it was. But this one, we both came out of it, smiles on our faces, like both like saying this was like really good, like for a kids movie and that kind of thing. Like, we enjoyed it way more than we did the first one. And if you're a Sonic fan, there's even more like not even a Sonic fan, but even pop culture. Like, there's a Parks and Rec reference in there.
That when I went to see it with my friend Victoria, who's a huge Parks and Rec fan. We were the loudest people in the theater at that reference because the day before she texted it as a joke, "I want to see Sonic do the worst from Parks and Rec," and when he actually did it, we are like, "Fuck!" Like we willed
No
this.
way.
Yeah.
And that works on so many levels since it's the same actor reciting the same line. Like,
Totally.
Yeah, and I think there's an interview where somebody was like, "So was Sonic just doing that, or was he doing an impersonation?" And Ben Schwartz was like, "No, that is Sonic doing an impersonation of John Ralphio, who is played by Ben Schwartz. Like it very much is." And
What a
in
great
the same
impression.
in the same interview, he said they were going to do the "Don't be suspicious" thing, but the director was like, "You get
That's a good
one
cut.
Parks and Rec reference. You don't get both."
Totally.
I
My
think
favorite
they picked
reference-
a better one, I think.
Yeah.
My favorite reference to stay in like the game lore was a subtle one, not really subtle, but the Mean Bean coffee shop. Like, I was like,
Yeah.
yes, Mean Bean
That was
machine,
awesome.
like Mr. Robotnik's, Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean machine. I love that.
mhm.
I think that's a real place. Maybe not that one, but the Mean Bean coffee is a real thing. I know that for sure.
Wow.
I just never made the connection until I saw it on the screen with a Sonic movie. I was like, what? But yeah, what do you think, Brett?
Yeah, I think this is the best video game movie of all time.
Whoa.
Agreed.
Kind of like what you were saying earlier about the first one. I think the first one kind of laid the groundwork for this movie to cash in on the check, like establishing the Sonic character in this movie world in the first one, establishing the human characters, establishing Robotnik, allowed them to just go crazy in this one and integrate so much more from the wider Sonic universe. Like, man, like we got so many like references and uh, homages to like so many different games and moments. Like, it was just kind of insane. And then I'm sure we'll get into it later, but yeah, the little bonus at the end, walking out, you're like,
You saw that coming, and you're
like there's a
"Thank
reason
you."
why the Paramount dude, CEO or whatever, was like, yeah, we're doing a Knuckles TV show, we're doing Sonic 3 already, we're building this into a whole world. And
I'm here for it.
The,
I know.
the SCU.
it's like, it's crazy that
SCU.
like this, like Sonic,
I mean, the Winter Soldier is canon in this world because, like, hey, great, it's a Winter Soldier.
yeah, like you know, I'm a Sonic fan. You know, this is my first ever game I ever played. Like,
Same.
but there's
Well, maybe not. It's the first ever game I beat, which is
Yeah.
honestly kind of impressive because I was like 7, and Sonic
Yeah.
is kind of hard.
yeah, they're challenging, and you know, I'm sure even the most ardent Sonic fan would say there's a good amount of Sonic games that aren't that great. And so it's just ironic that Sonic was the franchise to crack the video game movie code.
I know, like no one
Yeah,
would have guessed
that's
that. That's a
crazy.
great point, Brett.
Like I'm excited to see the Knuckles TV show and see what he's up
Totally.
to. Which, by the way, sometimes he was sexy, sometimes he wasn't. It was hit or miss
Knuckles?
with the sexiness for Knuckles. Yeah,
Yeah, there was that thing where Idris Elba was like, I'm trying not to make Knuckles' voice sexy. And people were like, that was a fucking lie.
There was also a thing where he said he tried to give Knuckles a squeaky voice, and immediately when he tried, the producers or whoever were like, "No, we're
Yeah.
not happening." He's like, "Okay, all right."
See, Knuckles just had such absurd lines that in my head, I'm imagining like Idris Elba, like a fantastic actor, just in this booth shouting like, "But you were my friend," like with the most passion that he could.
Which and then I'll like stop talking for a bit, but
No.
was it the director or somebody was quoted as saying like, yeah, we're obviously taking inspiration from different games and things like that. You know, obviously like the chili dogs and stuff from the show and whatnot, but like we're kind of remixing it in terms of when you'll see certain elements show up. And
Totally okay with that.
I'm not trying to like poo-poo on this a little bit, and granted it's incomplete story so far, but comparing this the Halo TV show, it definitely feels a little off in the Halo TV show on how they're remixing the Halo elements into that story versus this, where it's putting them in new perspectives and in different ways, but like still honoring like where it came from, and then also actually doing something cool and new with it. So I really appreciate everything they've done so far. And yeah, I think it had 71 million this weekend. It's like the biggest video game movie opening weekend ever. Like,
yep.
And that's still
just
with,
behind the Batman this year, I think.
Yeah, and that's still with COVID being a factor. Like, because when the first one opened up, it was received pretty well. I think got an A cinema score, and so you like just naturally when it's one like a movie does great and then a sequel comes out, it usually, if it's good, it'll just be massively make more. If it's bad, it probably will do worse, and on and on. So it's awesome to see this take the success from Sonic and implement it and take it to a new level.
Yeah,
absolutely. This movie does so much right that it has no right. Like even coming close, like it does the people thing right, it does the Sonic characters right. Like I don't know how they do it. I don't get it.
Yeah, integrating the humans into the movie when they did it was so smart, because
at the perfect time when that twist happens, I was like, "Oh my god, thank you," because this was so weird until
that
now.
twist did
It got me.
It got me for one reason. I don't know why. Lately, when I've been watching stuff, like I've been getting secondhand embarrassment to the point that like I feel pain, and part of me was like feeling so upset for Tom. I was like, dude, and part of me was like, you're an adult. Say that you have the real ring. Like, why can't you be like, hey, look, and you could have whispered like, "Hey, buddy, I have the real ring. Want to just swap those out? I'm so sorry." So the twist made it better because I was like, that he didn't actually ruin this poor woman's wedding.
Mhm.
I do dislike that we didn't get like an ending scene where like she's actually marrying him. Like I feel like they very much yada yada. He was like, "Oh, but he did fall for her." And it's not necessarily that I'm invested in that storyline. I just feel like it would have been better writing if they fully closed that off.
I think they will in the next movie, honestly. Maybe not close it off, but like she gets like a chapter and then you never see her again. That's
and
like, that's
she-
kind of how
she-
it was in the first
yeah.
one too.
And she deserved every moment that she was willing to shoot one of those guys.
Yeah.
Oh,
I was
yeah.
annoyed of her character. Not that's not right. I didn't really enjoy her character all that much in the first movie. But then in this one I was like, you are a standout character. I am digging all of this. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was great.
Which, like, I mean, let's just go back over that. They like freaking faked a wedding in a relationship to just get close to them. Like,
Yeah, like
Oh, yeah,
a
gun coming into the story.
full-blown
Amazing.
wedding. Like they went through wedding planning. They had to choose bridesmaids colors.
They went to
Well,
Hawaii.
He was into it at the end.
That's
He was
true.
into it.
The other thing though is that everybody in the wedding pulls out a taser and a badge, implying that none of her friends or family were at this wedding. It was all his side.
That's true.
Makes
Yeah.
Hawaii's expensive.
They took off. They took off
They
when
did, yeah.
the ring thing happened. They're like, bye. Nope.
Although-
Much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do want to piggyback off something Bret said about them kind of having figured out the formula, and I think the reason that is, and I've probably said this on other podcasts, and I've said this when I've ranted about the Uncharted movie, that I personally am a person that, like, if you're going to do a video game movie, I think if you're going to do a very narrative-driven game, you need to adapt that exact narrative, not make up your own thing loosely based off of it. Whereas with Sonic, I think there is so much to take from, but there isn't an exact lore. It's almost like Marvel
Yeah.
Comics in a way where there's a lot of lore, but you don't have to use all the lore and you can mix and match the lore. And I think Sonic is doing that well, from my understanding as a guy who doesn't know much about Sonic. Whereas like if you were to do like Metal Gear, you can't just take random shit and make your own stuff. Like you kind of have to follow that story.
Yeah, I know what you mean. There's a weak through line. I don't mean weak in like bad storytelling. I just mean like it's never really touched on enough to where there's like a surefire one, like a canon one. It's just kind of like this
No,
is
I
what
get what you
happens.
mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Mario's weirder where it's like I can't figure out what they would adapt and what they wouldn't necessarily. Because I feel like that
and
one
maybe
has
that's
a little.
working. Sorry, maybe that's working in its benefit too, because of the weak through line or the weak narrative. Because there's nothing that a lot of fans are gonna just see and be like, oh, they're dishonoring his character. Like, what is Sonic's character? He's just a teenager. Like that's Sonic. He's a
Yeah.
teenager that runs fast.
As long as they don't adapt him turning into a werewolf, they're good.
Oh my god, they've no. This is what I want. I want them to have a scene where it looks like it has just a dun dun dun. He's like, no, I'm just kidding.
Or like a scene that
Like, that's
takes
all.
place on Halloween and he's just a werewolf Sonic.
Ooh, yeah, that'd
Mm.
be dope too.
That'd be
dope
cool.
too.
Yeah, like early Sonic games and like Unleashed has a more direct narrative, but like earlier Sonic games are like kind of like Mario, where it's like Sonic has to beat
Just get to the
Robotnik
end.
because and you collect the emeralds every time, and like it's just like this constant like same like table setting. It's just how they actually rearrange that throughout the earlier games. But man, now that you brought up the Mario movie, I'm like, what are they going to do with that?
I have
Like,
no
that's
idea
a
what the
whole-
Mario movie's going to be, and I'm going to that day, opening day. I need to see that fever dream.
Yeah, they should like that's a whole different discussion. But yeah, Mario. Wow.
I just want to quick touch on, like, while we're quick go back to that fake wedding and all that. Like, when at the end of that scene where he's just laying on the ground, it's like, it's so cold. Am I gonna make it? It's like, you just got tased and you were laying in the ice.
That guy, I don't know what his name is, but he's like the
Shamar
cop.
Moore.
Yeah, he's the cop in like every network TV
Oh yeah,
show.
he is
And
the cop.
And so when
started
he showed up
cracking
to
up.
be a cop, I was like, oh yeah, he's the cop.
Shocker!
dude.
But somehow it got me. It got me. Okay,
That was the thing.
Here's the thing. It wasn't the moment because we have the finale fight where he goes
Right.
supersonic, which is fucking dope. It wasn't as cool as I wanted it to be, but like the way the CGI, it wasn't cringy, and that's what I was like. Thank you. Like it worked enough for me.
Mhm.
But I think it's credit to the writing of the movie and how they do this twist. That twist was almost the moment. The fake wedding was almost the moment in a Sonic the Hedgehog movie.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm telling you? Like the human moment between a bunch of humans was almost like the standout moment. It's number 2 on my list. And I think most of you would probably agree. Like it's the finale and then that. Like that's it.
One of the reasons why I think I'm so like in awe about how good it is because going into the movie, there's some people that got early screenings or saw it earlier in the weekend. They were like, "Oh, the human storyline kind of sucked in this one." So I thought that it was really going to be a weird like back and forth because they kind of like had to give the human character something to do until the very end.
Yeah. I
And I
thought
was
the
like,
same.
"No, like this integrated in pretty well."
I even thought the same thing like as it was happening. I was like, oh, I
Yeah.
don't like any of this. And then the thing happens. But I mentioned at the top of the show that I think the first Sonic movie is funnier and this one is like it like brings more hype. And I think that's because it's establishing more of other characters. Like this is a Sonic the Hedgehog movie, but Sonic the Hedgehog doesn't necessarily have front and center as much as in the first movie, so you don't get as much banter that I would like. But
Yeah.
but yeah, I think overall, like at the end of the day, this is what I took home with this. Tails, Sonic, and Knuckles were all characters. I don't know why I started with Tails. Are all very lonely characters. At least the way this movie is portraying them. Like Tails is like, I got made fun of because my tail, so I didn't have friends. I made this technology, blah blah blah. Knuckles is like, I'm the last of my kind, and Sonic is the only one of his kind on this planet. And at the end, they all come together and they're not lonely anymore, and they form a family. And I'm like, I hate that this worked. Like I hate.
Yeah.
Which is why I wanted to
How
go
are they
home
doing
and
this?
play Sonic Heroes, because seeing
Totally.
them like bounce around and like the colors like during the
Oh
finale
yeah.
was so
Dope.
cool.
So
And Robotnik's robot at the end looks so good. I know we saw that in a trailer briefly, but like that thing looked amazing.
I must have
did.
missed that trailer because I didn't see that. I just saw like the green tornado thing.
There was
Did
a
also-
there was a like a tease snippet thing where it showed the big shot of his whole body, like the whole body of the robot for like half a second, and that was
Okay.
it was like movie,
That's,
I
movie
love
title.
how this is just like a nitpick, but I love how you have access to unlimited power and your idea is to make a giant robot. Like
I thought that
yourself.
too. Then I
not
was
just
like,
wish away people's existence.
I thought that too, but then I was like, it's what he does. He makes things.
Yeah.
He's an
Yeah.
engineer of
It's
sorts.
how
so,
his
like,
mind works.
that would be his first
And
thing
it's
to
like
do.
with the games, it's always like, yeah, he's this incredible genius, but like he always like it's that classic like villain thing where it's like they are their own
Worst
like
enemy.
they're their like they play into their own failure
Mhm.
to some aspects. So I was shocked that he got the emerald at all. I
That
didn't
Jim
think he
Carrey
was
did?
gonna get it. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, I thought
I
like
saw that coming a mile away. I thought that was going to happen. I didn't think we'd see Supersonic, honestly. I thought we
yeah,
get like a
that
little tease of it or something. Or, but yeah.
which speaking of which, didn't they leave the rings in the what was it, the Eastern Russia mountain or whatever?
Possibly.
Remember when
Uh,
they fell
they
on the
fell,
rings?
yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
feel
those
like
are out there.
I feel like you just use an excuse of like, oh, I threw out a gadget. Tails is like, I threw out a gadget. He collected them for us. Here they are, and then you're
Yeah.
good.
I
Yeah,
caught
just
him on
Tails-
but
screen.
you're right. I don't remember a scene or a line that like covers that up at all.
Here's the rings.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I really enjoyed the snowboarding scene as well. I thought that was fun and very Sonic.
I don't know if that was a reference to Sonic Riders, but I'm gonna go ahead and think it was.
Okay.
It might be, but I think it's a more direct reference to Sonic Adventure 1 because there's a big
That's what I thought.
snowboarding level in that game.
Oh, okay.
So
Give me
it's-
City Escape, please. You've teased it
I think
twice.
that's going to be in the next one, bro. For
You were
certain
in
reasons.
San Francisco in the first one. How?
Again, they didn't want to cash all their chips in the first movie. I respect that.
I want to say before
yeah.
I'm gonna on the record. I'm just a new thing. I'm
Mhm.
saying on the record, Sonic Generations is the best Sonic, and then the second is Sonic Mania, and I just want that on the
Really?
record. That's my opinion.
So
yeah.
I'm playing Generations for the first time right now, and I think the boost Sonic levels are rough.
It was.
think
I
that-
also played this when it was like new on PS3. So
I
it's
think
been a-
the
it's
2D
been a
ones
while.
are excellent. I
Mhm.
think, but the boost ones are a little rough. But
The
yeah,
3D
it's like
versions of them.
yeah.
Yep.
Now that I'm thinking, it's like man, they could incorporate Sonic Heroes like with the Team Dark stuff, and yeah,
Mhm.
like so many elements of that Sonic Adventure 2.
Mhm.
Even like they still don't have
the Hedgehog
what's it?
game. Get Maria
What's the dude-
involved.
Yeah, that's oh my gosh. The big giant like blue water monster from Sonic Adventure 1. Chaos. Yeah, Chaos. Like they could incorporate any of these characters in any fashion. Like it's so dynamic of where they could go with the third movie slash the Knuckles TV show. Now that I think about it, the Knuckles TV show is gonna be like his levels in Adventure 2 just looking for like emerald shards or whatever. That's gonna be
Probably,
pretty funny.
honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, I had a bunch of
Dope
notes
music for this.
I wanted to go over, but one of
Mhm.
them was what is 3 without Jim Carrey? And I think Brett just is kind of on that
So
line.
So the way Robotnik ended the movie, like you could just be like, "Oh yeah, he did die," and incorporate the little tease at the end as being the main antagonist. I mean, there's so many Sonic villains that you could bring in so many different characters for like 5, 6 more movies or whatever.
I
Like
I totally agree. I just don't know. I don't know if that would. Do we want the
Make
focus
Stone
to?
the villain.
I was gonna. God damn it! Now you stole my thunder. I like. Do we want the humans to just not be in this movie eventually? Like, is that the plan? To where like they're barely in it?
that's gonna be the issue as we like go forward and make the stories bigger and bigger and the stakes bigger and bigger. Where the first one it's pretty isolated, and then the second one it got a little bit more intense, and then but they were still able to incorporate the humans in a funny way and in a way that mattered to the story. Uh, man, I'm thinking like let's say it's like kind of the end of Sonic Adventure 2 and you're like fighting on a space station, like what's Tom Wachowski or Wachowski gonna be doing
Right.
for that? Like is he gonna put on a spacesuit and be like flying around shooting guns or something?
Why
Like,
not?
He's gonna do a makeshift one like in Fast 9.
oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Dude,
on the fly. Is the
did you
make
see
one.
the fake theory about 10 being time travel?
Oh god.
No.
You know what? Fuck it. Do
I-
it. Do it.
Yeah.
And I don't
Like-
want to get into it right now.
Okay.
Like
But
time
sure.
travel and multiverse DOMs and stuff.
But I think another thing to consider is that probably by the time the third movie comes out, Sonic Frontiers will have been released.
Dude, I want that game to be so good because yeah.
I have no faith, but yeah, I've never wanted a Sonic game to be better than this one.
Like dude, the
leading into it.
movies are like I mean there's only 2 movies, but like Mania
They're so
came out
good.
like 5 years ago or whatever. Like there hasn't been a good Sonic game in 5 years, and then that one's like kind of isolated from the last like 10 years until whenever
Because it wasn't even
came out.
Sonic Team that made it. It was the dudes that were
I
making
know,
the ports
bro.
for the phones.
And yeah. So like man, like if like the video games are like having to look to the movies now for or like the movies are like the standard now a little bit for the Sonic franchise at this moment. Wow.
That's so weird to say.
Well, it's one of the
Yeah.
things where it's like, again, as somebody that kind of is looking in at this franchise from the outside, in my understanding, the movies have been the most consistently and well received Sonic product, I feel like, in what, 5 years? I don't want to go ahead and say 10, but it
Yeah,
maybe
since
is
Mania.
10.
Since Sonic
Yeah.
Mania. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, there are a few things I want to discuss, like that could be wrong with the movie, or I'm just stupid.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
well, I thought this movie was more cringy than the first one. There were just some lines that didn't work for me. Like when he first brings up, like, "You're not my dad. Stop trying to be my dad. You're supposed to be my friend." That didn't work for me at all. And even when they do the callback at the end, I was like, eh. Like it just that didn't do it for me. In the first movie, does Jim ever called Eggman?
Yeah,
Does Sonic
as a
ever
joke.
call him Eggman?
As a joke.
Because
Okay.
he's
remember that.
driving in what looks like a giant egg. And so he goes, "Oh, you're an
Mm.
Eggman, haha."
Okay.
So the way
like,
kind of the way the movie incorporated the 2 different names is that he's legally Robotnik, but Sonic jokingly refers to him as Eggman.
See,
And
I
that's how
Because
they
didn't-
his
did the thing.
drones had that egg shape, so
and that makes sense. I didn't remember that line. So when we first see Jim Carrey, like kick in that door, and Sonic is like, "Eggman," I'm like, "Pfft, I don't remember you saying that ever." So that moment took me out of the experience. But that one's on me. That one's on me. What else we got? So when Knuckles is like chasing them down and pretty much beating Sonic's ass, I thought it was so dumb how the way Tails gets him off is by hitting him with a car. I thought Knuckles
Yeah.
would be like, bam, or something. Yeah, I don't know, like jump out of the way. Like he's just like, huh? Waits a full second, gets hit. Like, I was like, what? Yeah,
Yeah.
that didn't work for me. What do you guys think?
I mean, I
I-
was okay with it.
On one
Okay.
hand, I agree. Like Knuckles' power scale kind of moved around a little bit in the movie. Like he was unbeatable at the beginning, and then you could just argue that Sonic learned how to kind of match up with him. But it's like almost like he's kind of this immovable tank, but also it's like I guess he wasn't paying attention, so like his feet
That's kinda
weren't
what I
set or
took it as.
something.
It
He just wasn't
seemed off to
expecting
me
it.
a little bit. I can get
Yeah.
past it, but I was like,
Yeah.
okay. What? My next question is, what caused the map to appear? Why did that happen at that moment? Was that coincidence? Did that
I think
just
it's that
happen
he
that way?
finally touched it.
I mean, he's been holding it and is like, we see it
No,
in the
but
first
he
movie, I think.
touched the emerald.
Okay, I
Because
guess he did.
he said about like, he's like, oh, this has always been here, but I never knew why.
I just
So
feel
I
like
kind of assumed that.
for the years he's never touched that part of the paper. I don't know. I'm being nitpicky
Movie
now,
magic.
but
Yeah.
of course.
It's a
You
kids
could
movie.
argue that it had something to do with the owl lady,
Claw. Yeah.
Long Claw, like coding like some sort of like, because they seem to be some sort of advanced species. Like, hey, like once he kind of
Once
like some
Knuckles is
sort,
there or an echidna is there, kind of a thing.
Or once he knows about the emerald.
yeah,
'Cause he used
once
to think it was a myth.
yeah, once like he
True,
needs to
yeah.
get it or something, like then it'll pop up because that's the owl species was guarding it from the echidnas.
I found that
So-
weird too. That all that was on Earth. Like, it's a good place to hide it. It was like, okay. So there's just been a bunch of these like owl people building this fortress. How did this happen?
It
Did they work together with the echidna at
it
one
seemed to
point?
be well, yeah, I don't know. I mean, you probably would put it there because if you put it on like the mushroom planet, then there's nobody there. So if the echidnas or if Knuckles or whatever finds it, then they can just get it unimpeded. Whereas it's on Earth, they might run into humans, and then the humans would just stop them because it's an alien invading force.
Well,
Yeah.
you remember back in the first one, the reason she had Earth on there is because it was so far away from. That's literally what Longclaw said in the first one, is because Earth was so far away from that
She
side
lied.
of the universe.
That wasn't the reason. Oh, we actually hid all our shit there. Please protect it. Thanks.
Right.
Yeah.
I thought that Tails' introduction into it was just really fast paced, and Sonic was very just okay with it. I don't have
Yeah.
a good reasoning around that, but I was just like, you're not wondering who this thing is. He
Well,
looks like
he
you.
acknowledges that
Kind
when
of.
he goes, because Tails is like, do you trust me? And he goes, no, I literally just met you.
Yeah, that's the only line that ever even touches on it at all.
Yeah.
But at
I
least there
mean,
was a line. I'll give you that.
It's partially like, like even yeah, I think Austin, you posted it in our Discord, like iconic duos of video games, or was it anything? Just any, yeah. And so like Miles or Sonic and Tails is like one of the most iconic like video game duos ever. And
So you think just naturally they just click?
I just
Because
think
this is where they meet.
I just think people know going in that they're like they're there for each other through thick and thin.
So they didn't need to establish, because this is when they meet. Like they
Well,
haven't
Well, and
met
Tails
before this.
has been watching him.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm saying, and this isn't like a good answer yet, but they totally could in the third movie or the Knuckles TV show or something else, like be like, hey, who is Tails? Like, where does Tails come from? Like, expand on that part of
Tails' origin story.
Yeah, like because
Everyone's
we really don't know anything about him.
We knew he was made fun of because of his two tails.
Yeah, which is from the games. They did a great job of incorporating like the different names for Eggman and the different names for Tails, which like goes back to like the Japanese and the American studios like fighting over the characters like way back when. So I thought that was excellent.
Does Tails have a different name in Japan?
So the Japanese part of Sega wanted to name him Miles Prower, and the American team was like, "That's like a dumb name. Let's go with Tails."
That's like a human name. Like we have
Yeah.
Sonic
Dumb
the
name.
Hedgehog.
Let's
Yeah.
go
We
with
have
Tails.
Knuckles, but
Yeah.
then Miles Prower.
Yeah, because miles per hour, like, and they go, they say that.
This is all.
Still,
Jordan,
that sounds like
is this the first time you heard that?
again. I don't know too much about Sonic lore.
Yeah. So
But still,
When I first heard that, I was like, I love that. That's great.
Mhm.
I don't know. That sounds like a lawyer, like the law office of Michael Prower.
Miles.
So
Or
it was
Miles
like
Prower, yeah, but still.
so when they were making Sonic 2, which introduced Tails, like they were like, let's just like mash the names together and combine them, and that way,
Tails
like
Prower.
his name is technically Miles Prower, but pretty much everybody calls him Tails. So that's kind of how they worked around that issue 30 years ago.
And they got the original voice actor too, or voice actress, which I thought was really good.
That was
awesome.
huge because now, granted, Ben Schwartz does an amazing job.
Yeah, I like him as a Sonic.
I thought Idris Elba did pretty good, but like seeing that kind of representation for voice actors in a major Hollywood movie was like incredible
Yeah.
because she does so great in all the
Totally.
shows and games, and to see her get that credit like just as much as anybody else, any of the big Hollywood bigwigs, like that was so cool. So I hope
Really.
that is a touchstone to expand for more video game movies in the future, be it the Sonic 3 movie with, whoever we'll see for that, or just any other kind of property.
Who's voicing Shadow? Who we got for Shadow?
Ben Schwartz, but it's just edited so his voice is like lower.
We need Vincent D'Onofrio. Just take his Kingpin and make it Shadow.
I just went, oh.
Hear me out. Chris Pratt.
Nope. I'm not hearing you out. Moving on. All right. I noticed that there were some wasp-looking droids, like from the games when he was snowboarding. Thought that was a nice touch.
Yep.
There were several instances where when Sonic takes damage, rings fall, or you at least hear the noise of rings falling. I really enjoyed that. There's a scene where Eggman is in his pod, like during. I think it's white background, so I think it's during the snowboarding scene.
It's
That
right
looked like-
before that when he crashed in when the compass brought them to the statue. Because I noticed that I couldn't remember if he did it in the first movie, but yeah, he's in the little pod.
He's in the little pod, but the point I'm making is that looked absolutely dog shit terrible. Like the lighting was so weird where like everything was CGI in the scene, the pod and all that whatever, and then you just had Jim Carrey who was like just a generic green screen and he was moving with it like perpendicular and it was so weird. It did not look good at all. But that was the only moment where CG-wise, movie-wise, I got taken out of it. But I audibly went when that scene popped up. Like, it looked that bad.
See, the bad CGI I noticed was when he was falling, and it's just an animated background that's like, oh, this is death and doom and explosions, and it's just Jim Carrey trying to grab onto something. That one looked to me like the background and him didn't match, but the pod to me looked fine.
Sure. The pod looked fine. It was just him being on the pod. Just he looked out like a different scene entirely. Like the lighting and all that was bad. The red plane, Tails flying a plane was a nice touch too. He's always flying a plane in the game, so like
Cyclone baby.
The Cyclone it is. And then there's the ringtone. I don't remember. I have the ringtone written down. When was that? I remember it happening.
When Sonic was calling Tom.
It was Tom's.
During the wedding. Yep.
Yeah, I remember it happening. I just couldn't remember him.
Which, okay, I don't know how old Tom is in this world. I imagine he's like in his 30s just because that's what they do with Hollywood male actors because he's like almost 50 in real life. But like, who has a ringtone on in this day and age?
Or at least what 30-year-old doesn't know how to turn it off?
I was totally okay with that because bam, 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 bam. I don't know.
That worked, and it was like, oh, he's ruining the wedding, even though he's trying not to. Like, so that worked, but I'm like,
totally.
Who has a ringtone on? Who? It's
As
always like
who. Go ahead.
I was like, it's always like older people or whatever that have their.
Here's my take on it. I think anybody that attended middle school or high school when cell phones were just becoming a thing all have it on vibrate because all the schools were like, we cannot hear your ringtone or text messages. Sure. So like, I used to try to turn mine on and off before school and after school, and I was like, no, I'm just going to keep it on vibrate. And ever since 2008, it has been. Yeah,
it's been on silent forever. I just have gun ! Because like Shadow Gun that's been confirmed.
Again, this movie did a great job of world building beyond like they cashed some of the checks from the first movie in terms of what it set up, but this was like okay.
So it was basically a good version of Age of Ultron.
I mean, kind of, yeah. They do.
I
Okay,
like
this
Age of
movie has.
Ultron.
That's
I'm
true.
not saying
That's
it's
true. He
bad,
does
but
like
I'm
Age
just
of Ultron.
saying.
You see,
It's
Age
bad.
of Ultron
saying-
4 wrote a
It's
bunch
bad.
of checks. They got cashed out. Like some of them 10 years later, but they got cashed out eventually.
Right.
Mhm.
Sure, that I will agree with. But sorry, the Age of Ultron thing is tripping me up. Um, I'll just move on.
Then I did my job.
There's a there's a moment where the two, I don't remember anyone's names. That's been on several podcasts. I'm terrible with names. The two ladies in the wedding, the sister of the main character's wife, they're sneaking around like a lookout, right?
Uh,
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that is right out of a video game because the lookout, all he has to do is go like, "Dink," and you can see them. Like
It's right there.
like I thought that's video game logic right there. Like I don't know if that was like on purpose, but
The-
like that made me laugh.
the
in
pacing
a
of the
positive
movie,
way.
the pacing of the movie at that point, not that it was bad, it was just, again, I was still blown away that that wedding was fake because the
Same.
wedding was in the trailers, and I'm like, oh, man, I remember the actor's real name. I can't remember her character's name. Is it like Rebecca or Emma or
The
it's something?
sister?
Yeah, no,
I don't
the
remember.
No idea.
the wife, the wife.
Is it not Wendy?
I
Sure,
don't think so. We could say it is. Yeah. I don't know.
I'll look it up.
Maybe. Yeah, look it up, please. Sorry. And yeah, like I was just so bewildered by that fake wedding, and then they immediately were like stealthing around the hotel, like
Yeah.
or the resort, like literally like 5 minutes after she found out that
Maddie.
Maddie, that her whole
Yeah,
relationship
that's it.
was a sham. I'm like, damn, like you really are on a mission to kick this dude's ass. Like
And the sister's name is Rachel. And then I
Rachel.
also have in my notes that like the golf cart scene was fucking dope, where she just
Yeah.
casually walks off the golf cart as it's like flying off into the distance. I love that.
Yeah.
That was really good.
Destroy. Yeah.
Go
Like
on.
there's that like the shot of her like doing like the finger across her neck as things are exploding behind her. Like
Yeah,
When she fucking drifted it like Fast and the Furious.
mhm.
yeah. That was the moment. Like it was dope. I don't care what you say. It got me. It was
Yep.
good. Sonic says got to go fast in this movie. I think it
Yeah,
was
he
Sonic,
did.
or someone says that, and I'm like,
No,
yep,
it was Sonic, yeah.
Before he had to go in the
Um,
water, I think.
which
Yeah.
was also really cool. As
Such
soon as
a
I saw
dope
water,
scene.
as soon as I saw water, I was like, fuck yeah, like I
There's-
knew it.
There was a giant beam floating into the sky, and it actually was cool.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's true.
I wasn't like, oh, we're doing this again. Like I was
Sky
like,
beam.
for me, I was into it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Me too. There's an Eggman costume Easter egg on Stone's
Yes, I
computer.
saw that.
Where
Saw
you see
that.
the gut. Loved it.
I
Wait.
thought that something was going to happen where, like, when he was being interrogated, his glove was going to accidentally swipe the other way, and that was going to end up on Jim Carrey. And I'm kind of mad they didn't.
And he's like,
Yeah, because the costume he had designed for him looked like, I don't know, like cartoon Hot Topic.
well, I mean, it's definitely like a modern take on what the costume was in the games or in the show. Like it looked good.
No,
for what
I
it
mean,
was.
the costume that he had on the screen. That's what I meant. Sorry.
Oh,
that
gotcha.
Stone was designing with like the spiky shoulder pads. I
Yeah,
was
that
like-
one was weird. I didn't
Yeah.
like that one.
So I was kind of hoping that when he was forced to put his hands up, the glove would go the other way, and that would end up being the new suit.
Yeah, I would have enjoyed that scene. I would enjoy that scene. There's the drowning scene where like you kind of see, and then there's the bubble. There's the bubble that he sucks in.
Mhm.
Again, this movie, yeah, it was so great at incorporating like all those
It's-
little elements from the
Totally.
game. Like,
It's one of those things where as it's happening, you're like, do it, please, please, God.
Yeah.
I wanted to hear like dun 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 dun.
Yeah.
Like I wanted to hear
Yep.
it, and I'm like, they didn't do it, damn it. But that's okay.
yeah, the fact that he can't swim, like he's just like jumping
yeah.
and just sinks for some reason.
He saves him, and he's like, hey,
Mm.
help. I like that. That was really good.
Mhm.
I just have the final bot fight. Wow, looked incredible. Felt very gamey and very Carey at the same time. Like it felt very like
Yeah.
Jim Carrey's character and like a video game. And I'm like, you know what? They
Mhm.
did it. And then the finger running, like that was very Jim Carrey, and it still felt like Dr. Robotnik too. I don't know. That was so good for me. For me personally, I really enjoyed
Yeah.
that.
I liked him begging Knuckles to stop saying the word groin. He's like, please stop saying that.
Okay. When I have a few other notes in here, but they're not really important. When they announce like the post credit, when they announce Shadow, did that make any sense to anyone? Like we have a
He-
file that's like 50 years
Yeah.
old or whatever, and I'm like,
So
how?
in
I
the
don't.
in the game or in the game slash like the lore, like Eggman's grandfather was this like super crazy smart scientist as well.
Hmm.
And he had his lab up in the space station, and he was working on developing like the ultimate life form, like the ultimate like creature. And that's what ended up being Shadow. But this like tragic accident through like that involved gun, like uh because Eggman's grandpa had like a terminal illness, or was it Maria, or both? But no,
It might have
no,
been
the
both.
grandpa did, because Maria, the granddaughter, gets shot by like
Oh,
a gun
yep.
by like a gun agent, and that's why like the grandpa's out of the picture, Maria's out of the picture, and then why Shadow is like isolated up in this space station like cryo chamber for like 50 years. But the way they incorporated it in the movie was like a little bit weird, because um man, I'm trying to remember like the exact line that they say, like it's not in space, it's like just some research station.
Underground
Yeah,
facility.
and
or
it's like,
something that.
how is it that somebody developed what is essentially a copy of Sonic? Like, if Sonic's never been there before.
That was gonna be my question. Like, is it just a coincidence?
I wonder if they're gonna do a thing where, like, maybe like as a kid or throughout the years when he was on the run, if he just ran through Earth for like a split second and somebody got a glimpse of him.
Oh, speaking of that, I wanted to see the guy who was like the crazy guy who called
Oh,
in the Blue
Carl. The
Devil,
Blue
or
Devil,
whatever.
yeah.
I wanted him again, but I didn't get him. Damn it.
Was it
He's not crazy
Carl
anymore. That's the thing. He's
Crazy
just Carl
Carl.
now. He was
He's just
correct.
Carl now.
Yeah,
It's
now they
true.
call him Correct Carl.
Yeah, he's a celebrity here now. Blue
Um,
Justice.
I'm interested to see, because this movie, more so than the first, and they actually lean into it at the beginning, was like Sonic as like a superhero. Now I wonder if that's just like a bleed over effect of how popular like the MCU is slash comic book
Well,
heroes and movies are now.
think it
But
was
like,
both. Part of me was I am both disappointed and yet at the same time relieved that they didn't reference that more in like a very meta way. Because
well,
the
he's
Well,
called.
I just mean, like-
directly a hero in the sense like a Marvel MCU hero, but he's called a
No.
hero so many times.
he
in the
himself
I just
wants
mean
to
framing
do
him.
superhero shit.
yeah.
And the movie is also very I think one of the things that make these movies so good is that they are very aware of what they are in like the best possible way. And so like I feel like there could like I think there's like a fine line that they decided not to like have to deal with where like they could have been meta, but it also could have come off as cringy. But like when Tom was like going on about responsibility, I leaned over to my friend. I was like, is he dying by the end of this movie?
It's a Wachowski special or a Wachowski secret or something.
Yeah.
The first time I heard that, I was like, eh. Second time I heard it, did it for me. I was like, you know what? All right.
Yeah.
You learn that from like an old wise human man. He's like, no, just Wachowski or whatever whatever his last name is. I think I'm butchering it. Whatever. But yeah, overall, I think this film does so much right, and it has no right to do it. Like it does the setup right. It does like paying off from the previous setup. It does the humans right. It does Sonic and Friends right. Like it does Jim Carrey right, except him dying is kind of weird. But
Well, they were like, we can't find his body or whatever. Like,
yeah.
So they go
But
either
yeah,
way with that.
I think there isn't an aspect of this movie. I think it was a little more cringy than the first one, but like it's a kids movie, so like what if you go in
But
now
again,
expecting a little cringe, it's kind of on you.
I feel like the cringy shit was a very like when Jim Carrey flosses, I was like, this movie knows why they're like to me personally. My read on is like that's an ironic floss. That's like when I make fun of an 8-year-old and try to floss.
Here's the thing: the floss wasn't cringy for me. I'm talking about like line deliveries and stuff like that.
What's so brilliant about this movie and like how they implement like everything is like flossing for like little kids is like cool, but then for like adults and older people it's like cringe. But like the way they implement it in the movie is it works on both levels. Like
it is purposely cringe, which is the joke, or to the younger audience, it's cool, which is just the kids are gonna like this.
Because like,
I know what they're doing.
Doesn't Sonic say to Knuckles like, I need to teach you how to floss or something if you want to make it around here or something like that? So like they know like what they're doing and how like, and the genius of it is that works regardless of how the
Yeah.
person looks at it themselves. Like,
Also, like the use of Uptown Funk was like the right amount of cringe, where it's like most
Yeah,
songs in this context would have been cringe, but you guys like didn't go too ham with it. Like I
I
don't know how to
found
explain it.
I found the whole dance sequence like I couldn't do it. Like, and I know it's a kids movie. I know like some
I
aspect of
enjoyed it.
something
It's a
similar
good
to this
song.
had to
I
happen.
enjoyed it.
I
I'll say I
prefer
liked the Jim
prefer
Carrey one from
sure.
last movie. Yeah.
I prefer the
True,
bar
true.
fight scene from one rather than this dance scene. Like I thought the bar fight scene was actually kind of entertaining and fun to watch,
Oh
especially when you
yeah.
get the Quicksilver moment, which you get that in this movie too. But like you know what I mean. I just think that scene from one was better overall than this dance thing. But
Mhm.
again, kids movie, I get it.
Yeah.
It
And I
works.
do think that the way they at least got to circle back on that with the use of the hologram machine was creative.
Yeah,
yes.
no,
Yeah.
a lot of this movie is done deliberately. Like they always have a callback to something in some way or shape in some way, shape, or form. And like the way this movie ends, you see all the emeralds kind of disperse, and then I'm like, what? That's what they're gonna do now. Like I totally get what's happening, and but then I was like, why would he do that? And then he gets the line where he's like, I still have more to learn or whatever, and it was the Wachowski thing, and I'm like, fuck, he did it again.
So
Damn it.
wait, did
Mhm.
the emeralds
worked.
disperse? Because I thought that they fixed
Yeah.
the one that they were enclosed in.
So
Well, go ahead.
so in the games, it's like specifically Sonic Adventure 2. I think there's the 8, is it 7 or 8? Gosh, 7 or 8, 7 emeralds that independently work on their own that each have like either a different
bunch of power.
power or like a percentage of power. And then there's the Master Emerald that controls
It's like the Infinity
the other
Gauntlet that I
emerald
get.
that controls the other emerald / is super crazy powerful on its own.
Yeah.
And in this movie, they kind of like integrated them where like the 7 formed up into the Master Emerald, and then at the end it split, and so it kind of mixed and matched from the game canon.
So now they have to go search for them like they're Dragon Balls.
Damn it! Why is everyone stealing my thunder? I was coming back just to say
Sorry.
that my
I'm
dogs are
sorry,
barking.
Austin.
God damn it! Fuck!
I will say when I saw him turn golden, I was like, "Oh fuck, this is his final smash."
Super Saiyan. Like I
It's
just realized this
supersonic,
movie
yeah.
is Dragon Ball
Yeah.
Z.
That's the other
Fuck.
thing. No, you're right. I'm surprised that he didn't make a Dragon Ball Z reference because he's straight up standing there, just like
Knuckles?
Looking
floating.
pissed.
Knuckles is Vegeta essentially, kind of, and then
Yeah.
I mean,
Jim Carrey's character can just be Doctor Zero
Shadow's
in a
gonna
weird
be
way.
more.
Sure,
Shadow's gonna
I
be
agree.
more Vegeta because he's gonna start off villain, then eventually turn like anti-hero kind of. Yeah, but yeah,
Mhm.
I'm
I see
saying
for
this
the
into
context of this
but
movie.
yes,
Yep.
totally.
Is
Does that make
Tails
Tails Piccolo?
Oh,
Piccolo. He'd probably be Piccolo if we had. Well,
personality wise.
he'd be Bulma. I think because all the tech. I guess, and he flies. He flies planes. Bulma's flying planes all the time in this shit. You heard it here first. The Sonic movie is literally just Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know anything about Dragon Ball Z, so this is all like
well, the Dragon Balls when you gather them all and then use your wish that you summon Shenron a dragon when you get naturally, and then when you make your wish, they all disperse, which is like what the Emeralds did in this movie. And then Super Saiyan, like the blonde hair,
Mhm.
right? Sonic
Super
is
Sonic, yeah.
blonde and he goes Super Sonic.
When did
The game is even right there as well.
when did the first Dragon Ball manga come out?
I think people have talked about this before, where it's like I think Super Saiyan came way before Super Sonic, but the way in which they were like mainline to the world was almost simultaneous, in a way.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just the anime Dragon Ball was so much bigger at that time that like it was
Yeah.
just Super Saiyan. Like no, Super Saiyan's first, but like it was pretty at the same time.
Gotcha.
I think we did it. I think we covered it. Any last
Yeah.
thoughts on Sonic 2?
Real quick, where do we think Sonic 3 is going to go?
I mean, we kind of covered that a little bit, right? I think it's going to be just the main villain is Shadow and Gun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we think Shadow is going to turn good / anti-hero by the end of the third movie, or
I think he makes a move to side with Sonic at the end, but still goes his own way at the end. You know,
okay?
Yeah,
Sick.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I can't seeing Shadow like that was incredible. Like
But it's one of those things where I'm like, if they don't show Shadow, like I don't know
Well,
if I'll be.
We all
hyped
knew
at
it was
I
coming,
would've
but it was
been.
still hype.
so
Exactly. Yeah.
So walking into the movie, I was like, okay, like because they explicitly want to make this a bigger universe. I know they're going to bring more elements into this movie, but I was like, what are they going to do? I was like, I still want to see Metal Sonic so bad, just because.
I was gonna. Is it
Totally.
gonna be Shadow or Metal Sonic? That was kind of my two.
Me
which
too.
way
Yeah, it was
gonna
either
go.
Shadow or Metal Sonic. Shadow obviously is more hype, but like Metal Sonic's freaking cool too. And like
Mhm.
Why not
I
both?
just
That would make sense for
yeah.
the turn. Like Metal Sonic's beating the shit out of him, and then Shadow's like, "This is wrong," and then comes in and saves the
Or if
day,
like
and then leaves.
is Shadow Sonic a creation of Robotnik's? Or not
Technically.
Shadow Sonic, sorry,
His
Metal Sonic.
grandfather's.
Yes.
Oh,
Metal Sonic is
yeah.
Eggman. Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Okay.
Mhm.
I also hope they really, really lean into the edginess of Shadow.
And
Oh yeah, they have
this,
to.
the
I hope they do.
soundtrack, they need to bring in Crush 40.
Yeah, that is
Yes.
They
one knock
need if
on
they
this
yeah.
movie as a whole. There's not a lot. There's not enough like homages to the OG Sonic music. Like
Which
there's almost nothing except the beginning.
which because these first two movies are more like classic Sonic in terms of inspiration with the soundtracks. I wonder how the general audience would take it if in 3 is like that late 90s early 2000s like edgy like rock kind of music with Crush
Right.
40. It's awesome music, so I think it would work regardless, but like they still got to be a little bit careful on how they incorporate that into the next movie. If they
You put
if
Live
they
and Learn in this movie, everybody's gonna love it.
yeah
Everybody
Totally.
loves that song.
Yeah.
yeah
I think both Sonic 1 and 2 are good sevens. I think this one is slightly more cringier. I think the first one is funnier, but this one brings more hype. That's my
Yeah.
closing statement on the movie. Do we have any last thoughts? Did we
I
cover
enjoyed
it
it
all?
more than the first. I think this
Okay.
one best, like Brett said at the beginning, best video game movie. It
Yeah.
nailed everything it needed to, and it's setting up a great cinematic universe, I think.
It does everything right, and I don't understand. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. It just doesn't.
It
yeah.
shouldn't. Yeah.
Sonic 1 was more impressive because like again the ugly design, like you know, there's been some good video game movies, but overall it's like somehow such a tough insurmountable task to incorporate a video game story and elements into a movie.
Mhm.
And it did it in the first movie, and then it was like this like unique story with like a huge human element to the game that most Sonic stories don't have. So that was interesting that it still worked. And then this one was definitely more like Sonic focused, but it had way more hype
It
and
was like
cashed
Sonic and
in.
Friends, really.
Yeah, cashed in all the checks of the first movie. It brought in all the new elements, and so I thought this one was a better movie.
I get it.
So yes, I think this one's better.
You said, just for your terminology, you said there's a lot of good video game movies. I still think these are just good. I don't think they're great or amazing yet. I think they're like
True.
the best good, but I don't think we've hit like the must-watch video game movie yet. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Which I don't know could exist. Maybe I have a too high of an echelon for that. But
And Brett,
Yeah.
like you mentioned the ugly design, and I do think that like if that was a marketing technique, it turns out like 10 out of 10 on that one. Just because
It wasn't. They had to crunch
No, it
to
wasn't,
get the
but,
new
like,
design out.
Which I
delayed
think
it.
this is totally random, but they had like these cups at AMC, I think, and it looked like the first design of Sonic for this movie.
like they got it
Oh my
printed out
gosh.
years ago and
Oh
just
no,
yeah.
oh no! You know they still had them from before COVID, like, and they just.
But
were like,
I do
they just
think
did it on
that
purpose. Like, this would be
yeah.
funny.
I do think that the studio publicly being like, listen, I think the studio showing that they were going to take people's thoughts into consideration very much made, like when the first movie came out, brought up a lot of goodwill
Mhm.
to the audience. Like again, if that was not a meme, that Sonic's design was just fucking ugly, I don't think I would have ever seen the movie. And now I'm like making sure I went opening weekend for the second one. So I do think that like
They won you over.
yeah. But again, I think a lot of that, the fact that they were like, oh, well, we're willing to listen to people. We have a lot of goodwill here. And then people went to see it as the meme and they're like, wait, that like wasn't,
That wasn't
bad.
bad.
Yeah.
That was pretty good.
I'd love to see an original cut of the movie.
Oh no.
See, I
Yeah,
think
that's actually really cool and interesting.
I think the movie is still good enough that, like, I mean, it would have been the same movie, but I think just so many people would have been able to get over the ugly.
No, I think I think originally there was gonna be a completely different tone. Like, and I think they kind of, that's another thing I want to point out. Sorry, keep going. In the beginning, they used DMX, or not DMX. They used Run DMC, with It's Tricky. And I was like, okay, so they did go back and use 90s rap, but it wasn't this like cringy Gangsta's Paradise like
It was
the tone of
yeah.
that first trailer, I think, is so different that when not only did they change the design of Sonic, I do think that they went and changed the tone of the movie through just editing and color palette.
Okay,
Mhm.
the ending of that is what sold me. Up until you said with just editing and color palette, I was not with you. I think the movie was still like for the most part the same. But yes, I think you are right. I think that is
Yeah.
very plausible. I keep saying closing thought, but the last thing I want to say is that the moment where he kind of goes supersonic, I wanted a line because Robotnik they're having this banter back and forth, but he's not really talking too much. I wanted him to like convey the, the Iron Man scene where it's Tony versus Cap and Winter Soldier, where he's like
You mean
he
Civil
didn't
War?
yeah he didn't mean to do it. And he's like I don't care. He killed my mom. Like I kind of wanted that, but maybe that's too much again. Like I wanted to be like you hurt my family, and then just fucking decimates it. You know what I mean? Like I wanted that hype line moment instead we get a chili dog moment, and I'm like that makes sense too. But yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah.
okay, yeah, I think that wraps it up. We like Sonic 2.
Sonic 2.
That's the consensus.
Fantastic.
Go and
Most
see
of
this
us think
movie.
most of us think that 2 is better than 1. Would we all agree with that? I don't. I prefer 1, but I don't know. That's just me.
I'm with you where I think there's different benefits to both.
They're
I do
both
think they're
sevens for
roughly the
different
same.
reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think I'm in the same camp as you.
sure. Okay. Yeah. Thanks for watching. This has been our Spoilercast. Bye bye.
Bye.